Martin. Ed, welcome, my friend.
Hey, McGraw, before we get into that, I got to tell you, I was out on the rubber chicken circuit in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh one night and then Philly the next night with Brian Kilmeade.
Oh, yeah.
And so about a halfway through, I think he had a Corona, and I think I had another adult libation. He said, "Hey, do you know McGraw Millhaven? My dad owns a bar down the corner from the bar, down the block from the bar." I said, "Well, do I know McGraw? He's been arrested in some of the best establishments I've seen." So he spoke highly of that. It was interesting. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, how Long Island is a small town.
Yeah, we lost you there, Ed, for a second. But you were telling everyone how great a friend I am with Brian Kilmeade. We didn't know each other growing up. His dad died in a car accident. I think his dad was driving home from the bar and a drunk driver hit him at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he grew up, I think he was 9 years old when his dad died. But we became friends, years later. We all sort of grew up right next to each other, not knowing each other. But Brian Kilmeade's always been nice to me every time I see him. So it's nice
and he had nice things to say. But I was just saying, it's Long Island, people say it's a small town. But, I mean, it really made me laugh. I thought, this is crazy. You know, these two guys on radio, half a continent apart. But it was a good guy. So we had a nice visit. He did say to send his best.
All right, good. All right, Ed Martin. So you are now working for the Eagle Forum, and it looks like the controversy there has died down a little bit. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, there's still stuff going on. I mean, there's some people that have some objection, partly to Phyllis's endorsement of Donald Trump and other things. There's still some stuff. But, yeah, generally we're working away. We had a really nice time in Cleveland, very successful. In fact, Lou Holtz, you mentioned he's going to be on later with Martin Kilcoyne. He was our keynote speaker at a pro-life event in Cleveland. He's a phenomenal guy and a great speaker. So, yeah, we're doing great. Thank you.
Phyllis Schlafly wrote the book A Choice, Not an Echo, which came out in the mid-'60s, which sort of was a backhanded compliment, or at least sort of a very caustic view of the Republican primary process, in that the establishment picked it and the voters echoed that choice. This being different because this is a true choice of the Republican Party. That is, the people who choose the ballot have chosen Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that. We're doing this book. It's with Regnery, and it's called, you mentioned, The Conservative Case for Trump. I actually tried to get them to do the title, Trump, Not an Echo. And the idea was, the echo, echoing Phyllis's book in the 60s. And the editor said, look, that's not really relevant today, kid.
Right.
Just get back to work. Look, if you look at the chapters of the book, it's not a long book, a couple hundred pages, 200 pages. And what we lay out is that on some key positions, his positions, now his bombast and other things we can also discuss, but on positions, immigration, trade deals, on some of how he talks about a family and even pro-life, especially judges. I mean, I spoke yesterday with a guy who's, the Federalist Society is the conservative group. On judges, the list of judges he put out that he would consider to the Supreme Court are some of the best. And then the other thing is this, is that there is a certain point, I know you're a fan of movies and pop culture, but if you watch The Hunger Games, there's a certain point where American life has become, it's a little dramatic to say, but a little like The Hunger Games. The Capitol, both parties, dominates the power and dominates what we're doing. And Trump is challenging that. Maybe not perfectly, but he's challenging that. And I think he's got an opportunity to be a leader because of that.
All right, Ed Martin, let me challenge you on this. Let me play the devil's advocate, because as you know, and as conservatives know, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to live it. And one of the arguments against Donald Trump is that he might say the right things. He knows what to say on immigration to get people standing up and cheering, but he's never cast the difficult votes, right? He is a person who you can go back into his history, and regardless of what you think, you can find something in which he said it. He's changed his mind numerous times, and so that's not very conservative. So how do you know he really believes what he says?
Yeah, well, look, in politics, I mean, as you know, it's not a distinguishing characteristic in politics to say somebody changes their position. I mean, I'm just a little bit more open to that. I think you take instead of immigration trade.
Clearly, the establishment Republicans have gotten into your cell phone there, Ed Martin. We'll let you. Do you have a landline you can call us back on, Ed?
Yeah, I'll try to get inside. Sorry, I was at a meeting this morning. Is it coming in now?
Yeah, now you're better. Okay, but hold on a second. There's one thing to change your mind, being pro gay marriage to being anti gay marriage, or vice versa, or hey, you're for child tax credits, now you're against it. But Donald Trump changes his mind from one sentence to the next.
Yeah, look, I hear you, and I hear the sort of characterization, especially when he speaks in these kind of rallies and all. But what we lay out in the book and what I point people to is on particular questions that are central to right now: immigration, trade, judges, even the family thing. I mean, I don't want to badmouth Reagan. It's not a trendy thing to do, but we've had some great leaders that changed their positions and fairly dramatically. And I think that Donald Trump's kids, Donald Trump's fact that he never drank alcohol, doesn't smoke. I mean, there's certain things that you look at him and you say, I can see a certain strength and quality in the guy. And then you look at these, again, in the book, we lay out these positions on what we think he will do and what he said based on what he's talked about. And also, there's a point where you look up and you say, do you trust the person? And I know a lot of people are looking up and they're saying, I don't trust either one. But I look up at Donald Trump and I say, the guy's got character in a way that I think he can live up to these things. And he's also nailed his colors to the mast. Sometimes you got to get a politician who promises to do something so boldly that they can't back off of it. And I think, look, Reagan said he would get rid of the education department. He never did. But Reagan said he would take on the communists, and he did. And so there's a point where you have to get the big things locked down, and I think our book argues that Trump's locked them down.
So many places to go on this. He told 60 Minutes that he's for universal health care. Is that a conservative point of view now?
Well, look, I mean, I think that was, whenever that was, I think it was, he said that he, was talking about something else or other. But at this point, what we know is we have the Republican Party and his positions are locked in, that Obamacare has been, the attempt by Obama on close to universal health care has been, everyone I think can agree, really, at least really slow in implementing, and most people like me would say it's a failure. So Trump's position now, which is all the party's position, is we've got to do something dramatically different. I don't know. I mean, again, but
hold on a second. Is dramatically different universal health care? Is the opposite?
No.
Well, that's
what I mean. He dramatically different from what Obamacare is an attempt to get us to universal health care. I think he and others agree we have to have a market-based system that puts the patient at the center and changes the dynamic. I don't know what he meant back then, but I know right now that there's no chance that the Republican Party, a president or the Congress, is going to be leave Obamacare alone. So that you could take it off the table. That's the beauty of that. That's not. Paul Ryan is objecting to Trump's position on immigration. He's not objecting to Trump's position on Obamacare. So we know we have that movement go in the right direction.
All right. Recently, I mean, so fast and so furious, he recently came out last week and said that he would like to see United States citizens tried in military tribunals. Now, that's not a strict constitutionalist. How can that be conservative?
Yeah, look, I think sometimes, you can't, what is it, the phrase, you campaign in poetry and govern in prose. What I see is a guy, if you read his speech yesterday in Youngstown, Ohio, I see a guy that's different than what I think is currently going on in the White House and with the current Democrat candidate, is taking seriously the real threat. The real threat going on in this country, it's a real threat, is of an extreme Islamic terrorist that is infiltrating America. I mean, we have it in our area. We have people here who don't like us. And I think a guy that says that point blank, even if he's campaigning in poetry and has to govern in prose, look, the President of the United States said he's going to get rid of Gitmo. He got in, he didn't get rid of Gitmo, or maybe he's doing it still. But the point is, the message he's sending to the public is, I will take serious the threats to our security, no matter who they are, including American. If you're a radicalized American who becomes part of this terrorist effort, that's different than before you were radicalized. And I think Americans are desperate for some safety and security, and a guy that will be. And look, we're going to have a great system. What Donald Trump as president will do is he will reinvigorate the Congress to be a real Congress instead of a rubber stamp for Obama.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Congress is a rubber stamp for Obama?
Oh my gosh! Every time he needed a deal, they cut a deal. So they funded Planned Parenthood. They did all this. I mean, look, it's not. The Article 1 Congress will stand up to Obama, to Trump, like we've never seen. That'll be great. I look forward to it. Instead of just cutting deals with Obama and cutting deals with Senate, it'll be fantastic.
Just so I understand you, Ed Martin, are you saying that the Republican House and the Republican Senate over the last 4 years has been a rubber stamp for Obama?
I am saying that that Republican House and Senate, instead of living up to its Article 1 duty, they have more frequently said, let's cut a deal. And the deals have been with Obama standing on the Oval Office steps or in the White House gardens saying, I got everything I wanted in that budget deal, including funding Planned Parenthood, including funding my executive amnesty for illegals. The next Congress, I bet, President Trump, the Republican Congress, they'll stand up and say, wait a second, we want to be equal partners. That'll be good for us. That'll be great for us. In fact, a Congress that stands up to the Supreme Court and says, you're not the ones in charge, we're co-equal branches, that'll be fantastic too.
So basically, Obama has got some Svengali hold over the Republican-led House and Senate, but they won't over Donald Trump.
No, Obama is utilizing a Congress that has been dominated by special interests. And Trump is not. Trump is going to be, those special interests are going to want to challenge Trump. There's a reason Republican business guys a number of them are against Trump. The reason is because he's upsetting the apple cart of the system that they're used to playing. And that's going to cause the Congress to try to carry water for them. And again, that'll be good. There's nothing illegal about lobbying. There's nothing illegal about money in politics. But the problem has become the money's dominating and the American people are losing. And that's why Trump is getting tens of thousands of people at rallies and Hillary's getting, a couple hundred. I mean, there's a difference in the reaction. And by the way, I just heard the polls on your station. I love to listen to the news. They go on and on about Virginia down by 14, except when they do likely voters and they have the third party down by 6 or 7. These races in the battleground states are close. And Trump is where Romney wasn't. So the listeners of yours need to think about not what they're hearing in the media, except for you. And they need to pay attention to what's going on the ground.
Ed, can you hold on through the break?
You bet.
Ed Martin is our guest. He has written a brand new book with Phyllis Schlafly. The book is called The Conservative Case for Trump. Ed Martin continues here on the Big 550 KTRS. ARCA is a wonderful organization here in town. They're in the front lines of the heroin epidemic, the drug epidemic, the cocaine, the alcohol abuse that is out there. And I will make this pledge to you that the epidemic here in St. Louis, the heroin epidemic, as bad as it is, it would be worse if ARCA wasn't here. They've been on the front lines for 14, 15 years, and they have dedicated their life to looking for new ways to get people off of the drugs and get them in the right directions. That's why they use drugs like Vivitrol and naltrexone. These are drugs that have been FDA approved 30 years ago. But for some reason, whatever reason, the rehab community hasn't embraced them. Well, guess what? ARCA does, and they're seeing amazing results. They have customized treatments, highly confidential, outpatient treatments. ARCA, to find out more, arcamidwest.com. But tell your friends, anybody who you know is affected by the epidemic in any way, shape, or form, ARCA can help. 314-645-6840 or arcamidwest.com.
This is McGraw Live on KPLR 11.2, STLtoday.com, and the Big 550 KTRS.
Each franchise independently owned and operated. Offer good on selected product at participating franchises only. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
You're going to love this house. It just came on the market. It's gorgeous inside. Here we are.
Oh my gosh, look at this room. The window coverings are stunning. It's straight out of a magazine.
Isn't it incredible? The best part? They didn't even hire a decorator. Budget Blinds did it all.
Budget blinds?
Yep, Budget Blinds. They'll give you a free in-home consultation, do all the measuring and installation, and give you the best warranty in the industry.
I'll take it.
The house?
No, the number for Budget Blinds.
Right now, it's the biggest sale of the year at Budget Blinds. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive incredible savings, promotions, and upgrades, including free invisible tilt on shutters. There's never been a better time to get the decor of your dreams. But hurry, the biggest sale of the year ends soon. Call your locally owned Budget Blinds. 1-800-370-2717. That's 1-800-370-2717. 1-800-370-2717.
Never paint again. Seriously, who wants to paint anyways? Rhino Shield would love to paint your home, business, or church for the last time. You know, when it's not raining. Water and sun are the two most damaging villains against your home's defense for chipping, cracking, peeling, and rot. Our permanent ceramic coating locks out 100% of the moisture, 90% of the sun's UV rays, and we back it up with a 25-year transferable warranty. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. See why we are rapidly becoming your neighbor's go-to solution for cracks, splits, nail pops, and just bad color schemes. Now's the time to be smart to save time and money. Call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hi, this is Billy Bush of Kräftig Lager and Kräftig Light. We are proud to partner with KTRS and the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer to raise funds for research and help care for its victims and their families. Cancer touches us all, and even the smallest contribution goes a long way. Kräftig means strong. We believe in the strength of the St. Louis community. Together, our strength will beat cancer.
William K. Bush Brewing Company, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
It's the end of summer BOGO sale, baby. Buy one, get one from Amazing Siding and Windows. Buy one Infinity from Marvin fiberglass window, receive a second free. Buy one Infinity from Marvin door, receive a second one free. Need siding? Pay for 2 sides, and we'll throw in the other 2 sides for free. You must schedule with Amazing before school starts back. Call 636-230-5800. On the web, amazingstl.com. Previous 10 seconds. Apply. Free products of equal or lesser value, labor excluded.
Call Amazing Siding, and you'll never paint again. Never.
McGraw, live in the morning on KTRS.
It's 9:26 here, Big 550 KTRS. Ed Martin, our guest, local gadfly, also works for Phyllis Schlafly in the Eagle Forum. Former chief of staff to Governor Blunt and was head of the Republican Party here in the state of Missouri. He's written a book called The Conservative Case for Donald Trump. And I'm going to do my best to pretend to be, or for this argument, to be a conservative who has concerns over Donald Trump, and you're trying to persuade me, okay?
Right.
Okay. So a conservative who might be a little leery of Donald Trump might say or might think, wow, 50 Republican foreign policy experts signed a letter saying that Donald Trump is unsafe to be president of the United States. Pretty unprecedented. Ed Martin, alleviate my fears. Why should I not be concerned with these 50 experts, some of which are former CIA, head of Homeland Security, and pretty important people who were in the room? Why should I not be concerned with that 50-person letter?
Yeah, first let me say an observation that people in foreign policy and even in the CIA are as political, and meaning that they have political views as anybody. And people, sometimes I think they think, well, they're in the CIA, they're sort of apolitical beyond it. So especially people that are signing letters, that means they're out and they're competing and they're looking into the future for jobs and other things. But I would just observe on that 50-person signing, one of the things they objected to was Donald Trump's statements on NATO. And what basically he said about NATO after you get through the kind of bombast, and then especially when you look at yesterday, is NATO is an alliance that we certainly have to keep, but we have to demand that the other partners stop taking advantage of us. They have taken the benefit and not paid their fair share. You know, Americans are looking up and they're saying, you've got a government in Washington that's playing broadly in our lives and in the international world, but they're not looking out for us first. And so that's the first part I would say. The second thing is you have to look closely at who these people are. The combined foreign policy, you know, Hillary Clinton is more of a neocon hawk, according to one of the recent writers, than Trump is. We have had a coming together of the people who believe that America's role in the world should not just be strong and superior, but should be activist. And the people, let me be honest with you, McGraw, the people who love that are the industrial, the defense and industrial, you know, the old Eisenhower phrase, the military-industrial complex that has built up. Go to Washington, go to Crystal City across the river. You'll see high-rises filled with defense contractors and all this. So I think you have to be careful. Again, the small c corruption, meaning that the worldview of these people is different than what is good for many Americans, is profound. And I actually think that we have a guy who's talented. Rand Paul was another guy. I always liked following Rand Paul. I believed in a lot of what he said because he challenged the thinking. Everyone said, oh, you're an isolationist. No, you're an Americans first. I like to use the phrase Americans. Us first doesn't mean the world is never. It just means that they're after us.
Did you say? Did I hear you say that Hillary Clinton is a neocon?
Hillary. No, the article that came out on I think Monday or so said it was I think one of those 50 or someone like them that said if you look up and look at her policies, she's closer to the neocon position in terms of hawkishness and role in the world and the size and scope of the military than Trump has been. And I think many people would say that. That's what you see with those 50 is lots of people that want that money. Look, I'm not saying that George W. Bush was a bad president or that he made errors beyond anything what may have been natural to the moment. But I think we can agree that after 15 years of war, multiple wars, America's got to have a different perspective. To pretend that we're going to have the same perspective as 6 months after 9/11 in terms of the ability to wage wars in foreign countries and have a worldview, I think to pretend to do that is really short-sighted. We're hurting in this country, and we've got to sort of regroup with a different view, and I think that's what Trump is presenting.
Yeah, but you can't, and you know, Ed Martin, that you can't argue for putting troops in and criticize pulling troops out, and yet wanting to put troops in, and yet right all at the same time. So
I don't think that's what Hillary meant. She voted for the war, and now she's against it. But same thing that Obama said he was a big pacifist, isolationist, and became a great war president. So I don't think that's what they meant. I think what we're talking about is at this moment you have Trump saying, "Okay, we've caught up to this moment in history, and we've got to have a different approach." And it's resonating. It's resonating with young people. People under 30 are saying, "Yeah, I don't want to have wars every day." By the way, Phyllis Schlafly, my boss, gave thousands of speeches in the late 50s and into the 60s before ERA, and her message was what was called military superiority, about the strategic balance. If we're so much bigger than the other guys, they'll be scared of us and they'll stay away from us, and we won't have to fight them. But we won't want to occupy their nations either. We can't nation build anymore. Not right now.
Well, but hold on a second. Again, you mentioned nation building. The troops were basically thrown out of Iraq. The void, the vacuum was filled by ISIS. So you can't say bring our troops home and then be criticized criticize the person for bringing the troops home.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what to say, McGraw. I think what the worldview that President Trump is saying is, from the beginning, you certainly, when you have broken eggs, you got to try to make omelets. And I agree with you that leaving our men and women high and dry, you've got to be careful. But there's a point here where we've got to just have a different worldview. We can't have the same, like back to NATO. We can't fund all of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and then get nothing in return. We have to have a better deal. Free trade and commerce and relationships work when everybody is giving and taking in relationships. And same thing with international policy. So those 50 guys and gals that are objecting have a particular D.C. sense of worldview. It's not without some depth and seriousness. I'm not disputing that. I just think that it's an indication that Trump is challenging many of the conventional aspects of the Republican Party, and to, I think, great effect. Same thing with trade. Immigration and trade. Trump had talked about these issues. No Republican had been willing to talk about them quite so significant. 5 years ago, Tom Tancredo of Colorado was the only guy talking about immigration in a dramatic way, and he was sort of way out to the side. And Trump brought him front and center, and I think we benefited from that.
Ed Martin is our guest. His book is called The Conservative Case for Trump. He wrote it with Phyllis Schlafly. If I'm asking this as a quote unquote, I'm not, but this is where I'm coming from. I want to be objective, but I want you to answer the questions, and that is this. Let's pretend I'm a Bush conservative. I'm a Bush Republican. I come from the Bush-Romney wing of the party. They didn't go to the convention. They're not endorsing him. They shudder the thought of a Bush presidency, all while David Duke and those people are running towards and embracing everything about Donald Trump. If I'm a Bush conservative, why shouldn't that make me petrified?
Yeah, look, I mean, every time it's like Hillary Clinton standing up at the rally in Florida with the with the father of the guy that murdered everybody down there, and people now try to say, well, is she embracing that? I think there's a point in this, Reagan, Bush, even Clinton, his sister Saluja moment. There's moments where you have to say, and Trump has, that David Duke is too far gone. The different thing I'd say point to is America is a two-party system. This is something Phyllis Schlafly taught me. If you want a third party, fourth party, fifth party, go to Europe. We're a two-party system. It's imperfect. We're not getting the absolute best positions that I want or you want, but you have to make a choice. And so the choice comes as very, very clear, binary choice. Hillary Clinton with what she brings, who she is, what her baggage is, what her policies are, and Trump. And that decision, for people that say they want to sit out now, my number one choice was not Romney. And yet in 2012, I was the chairman of the Missouri Get Out the Vote for Romney, because I said he's so much better than Obama in my view. The people that are sitting out now are showing themselves not only to be hypocritical, but they're showing themselves to be frauds when they say America, they want what's best for America. What's best for America is to choose between the two. And in this case, I think Trump's got more principles and more policies that align with what conservatives and what most Americans should want. And so I think that's the better story of this than the outliers. Hillary shouldn't be painted with the terrorist dad or whatever that guy is, and neither should Trump.
Can you hold on one more break, Ed Martin?
You bet.
Ed Martin, our guest. He works for the Eagle Forum right now. Phyllis Schlafly and Ed Martin have written a book along with Brent Decker. Bookstores everywhere, online. Anywhere else we can get it, Ed Martin? The book?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Regnery. I think Regnery.com is our website for the publisher.
The book is called The Conservative Case for Trump. Ed Martin, our guest. We'll continue with him in just a moment, but I got just enough time to tell you about a